Greetings, my peeps, and welcome to the All Things Basketball Podcast with your boy GD. In this episode, coming to you live from Hawaii, my Week 14 recap. So in this part of it, we'll talk about Giannis out with an injury, guys. I'll tell you the impact and all those things. Morant also out and how this affects the trade deadline. Also, guys, ESPN wrote this expose article. I wanted to talk about that because I think it's being not blown out of proportion, but I'll explain more when I talk about it. Also, is inside the NBA deliberately being killed? And also, what happened to MJ? His special contributions as far as NBC goes. That, and if I can, jersey sales as well. All that and more. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, guys, it's your boy GD back with the All Things Basketball with GD podcast. And guys, I am coming to you live from Hawaii. Right now, I'm on my balcony here. It's a little overcast out, but nonetheless, it's going to clear up the way things are here. You know, rain for a little bit, and then you get sunshine and all those sort of things. So anyhow, but nonetheless, this is your boy GD, and I'm doing my Week 14 recap, all that went on in the NBA last week. So with all that said, without any further delay, let's get into it. Now, guys, top story. Giannis Antetokounmpo, guys, dealing with yet another calf injury, guys, which will put him out for 4 to 6 weeks. Of course, needless to say, this is a crushing blow to the Milwaukee Bucks. So with that said, more likely than not, this affects him during the trade deadline because this will take his injury well past the deadline, well past the All-Star game. So you know he will not appear in the All-Star game, guys. So there you have that. But as far as a replacement, we don't know because as far as the All-Star stuff, I'll talk about that in the next episode, but this will put him out of the All-Star game. So, yeah, and then also, remember, guys, there was all the rumblings, and, you know, the prior week, he was booing the fans, so it seems like things are coming to a head as far as that goes. So if a team were to pretty much gut their franchise and bring in a Giannis Antetokounmpo, you will have to wait on him with that calf injury. I think this lowers his trade value, if you ask me. But, yeah, so you have to see what happens. But tough break for the Bucks, who's had a tumultuous year thus far. They really haven't filled the gap as far as losing a Damian Lillard. You know, they brought in a Miles Turner. He hasn't exactly lit the world on fire over there. So it's a turning point situation for the Bucks, to be honest with you. So again, Giannis, another calf injury, guys. And these sort of calf injuries, it just seems like it pops up over and over with Giannis. So, but bad news for the Bucks. So we'll see what happens. I don't foresee a trade situation with Giannis going anywhere unless the team is willing to wait on him. You know, there's that. So we'll see how that goes. And then also, Morant, he suffers a UCL sprain, guys, in his elbow. He's going to be out at least 3 weeks. So I say this pretty much puts a nail in the coffin as far as trading him at the deadline. Because remember, deadline's in 2 weeks. He's going to be out at least 3 weeks. Are you a team willing to trade for Ja Morant coming off this UCL sprain in his elbow? And are you willing to take that risk? There's risk with that. And I think this lowers his trade value, guys. So, two guys you could have seen possibly on the move by the deadline are now pretty much out the mix unless a team on the other side is desperate and they'll make the move anyhow in the hopes that said player comes back strong, healthy and strong and can help your ball club. So I'll be honest with you. I don't see either guy being moved now with these injuries. I think a team willing to make that trade, I think that's a huge risk. So I'll just leave it there. But crushing blow in Memphis, they've had a tough go of it this season as well. So what will they do at the deadline? So two teams that you could see make some moves, but as far as their key players, Giannis or Ja, I don't see them on the move. I'd be stunned if they are, but there you go. So that's it with that part of the news. Let us move on. ESPN. They did this big expose article on the Buss family and how the franchise ended up selling the team to the billionaire owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers, sold it for $10.5 billion. And it chronicled a lot of the infighting that went on. In fact, the name of the article itself told you all that you needed to know as far as the fighting that's going on with them. And in fact, it was basically around one of the two younger sons, what Jeanie told one of the two youngest sons that they shouldn't have been born. And I was like, wow, that's some heavy stuff there. But nonetheless, a lot of infighting within the family and how Jeanie has last Buss family member with ties to that organization now that she is the governor of the Lakers. So very, very juicy article there. It was written by Baxter Holmes. He did a lot of investigative reporting on this. So you got to give him a boatload of credit. But here's the thing. The infighting amongst the family, that's not really the news. That's not the thing that's buzzing all over ESPN. It's what Jeanie Buss had to say about LeBron James. Mind you, it was just a couple of paragraphs that was written about him. But I am going to read to you what everybody has blown out of proportion, guys. This article, which I got to give the man credit, Baxter Holmes. He seemed like he did his homework on this. But the whole notion that somebody would read that whole article and take away 3 paragraphs to make a story out of, it's just mind-boggling to me. So with that said, I'm going to pull up this article. I'm not going to read you the full article. I'm going to read to you what was said about the Lakers. Give me 1 second, and I will be able to pull that up. Because I was like, is this really where we're going with this? I thought it was crazy. But, yeah, here's the article here. No, I want the actual article. All right, let me pull it up this way. Hang on 1 second, guys. Because, it's all about the clicks. It's all about the likes. It's all about, the ratings. All those things. And then now you got LeBron fighting off what was said in the article, and then you have, I think this is it right here. Yes, this is it. All right, so I'm going to read for you guys what was said in this article. Okay, good. That's all. Okay. Oh, I forgot I screenshotted this thing. Okay. I have it here, guys. I have it right here. Here we go. So this is from the article. And team sources told ESPN she even began to turn against the Lakers star player LeBron James. Jeanie privately grumbled. People close to the team say about what she felt was James's oversized ego and overt control that he and Clutch Sports, which represents both James and Anthony Davis, exerted over the organization at times. She didn't like that James was considered a savior for a floundering franchise when he arrived in 2018, and that it was he who chose the Lakers rather than the team's leadership receiving praise for landing him. Team sources have been adamant for years that James's camp informed the Lakers as early as 2017 that he was coming to join them when he became a free agent the following year. The distance between Jeanie and James widened after the Lakers traded for Russell Westbrook in July 2021. People close to the team said the team had made the trade in an effort to appease James, but the acquisition backfired in catastrophic fashion. The Lakers went 33-14 and missed the playoffs, and James seemed to wash his hands of his role in the acquisition. Jeanie privately bristled about what she felt was a lack of accountability and the way James would shift blame onto others after the Westbrook trade, people said. In 2022, in the aftermath of the Westbrook trade, multiple people said Jeanie privately mused about not giving James a contract extension, and later that year, even about trading James, which the LA Clippers floated as a possibility. That was before James received a no trade clause in 2024, in July, actually, after signing a new 2-year, $104 million contract. And when the Lakers drafted James's son, Bronny, with the 55th pick in the 2024 draft, Jeanie privately remarked that James should be grateful for such a gesture, but she felt that he wasn't. People close to the team told ESPN. That summer, as she discussed a new contract for James, Jeanie seemed more resigned to the fact that they'll have to do it, almost begrudgingly accepting that they'll take a massive PR hit in not doing so. Under Jeanie's leadership, the team has been through years of dysfunction, of distrust, increasing isolation and discord, and then there was the on-court product. So I'll just leave it right there. I read all that to you to think about a few things. I was talking to a friend of the show, D, because I forwarded him, all the different outlets talking about this stuff. And he said something, and I was like, You know something? He makes a lot of sense. He said, if the Lakers had such a problem with LeBron James, why would you re-sign him? Number one. Why would you re-sign him with a no trade clause? Number two. Because, you're afraid of the PR you get if you would not re-sign him. If he was getting on your nerves so bad that you had to go this route and you give him a 2-year with a no trade, you're putting the player in control. What happened to the franchise? So, and you could have traded the man. You could have traded the man. You could have said, look, the marriage between the Lakers and you isn't working. Let's move you somewhere. Let's send you back to Cleveland and we get a bunch of assets in return. I don't think people would have killed him over that. I don't think, if the team was teetering as you felt it was. So I can't shed a tear for Jeanie Buss. I can't do it because your ownership, you're in control of that situation. As far as the Bronny stuff goes, you did that to appease this man. But you did it before you signed the man to the contract. What the hell? Who does that kind of business? You didn't have to draft his son. Sure, I understand Chris Paul was not Chris Paul. I always say Chris Paul. Rich Paul, LeBron's agent, was making all these threats about him going overseas to play. And I always call that bluff. There's no way on God's green earth that LeBron would have his son play overseas just to prove a point and him not being on an NBA franchise. I'll stand 10 toes on that. That's insanity to me. That's insane talk. Are you kidding me? But, hey, listen, you let the man control the franchise. Now you got his son there. The son is barely getting time, if any. As far as development goes, who even knows how he's being developed? So, Jeanie, you made your own bed. You got to lie in it. So, it just seems insane to me. So, but my problem is with ESPN as a whole, not with the Baxter Holmes, because he did his job. He did the investigative reporting. My issue with ESPN, you have taken that little bit of paragraph, must have been about 3 or 4 paragraphs, and you made this all about her relationship with LeBron James, when there's much more in there. And what I read was pretty salacious outside of the LeBron stuff. But you went to that because you want the clicks, you want the likes, you want the comments, you want the viewership, all the things. So, ESPN, y'all on some other stuff. And I'm about to talk about that in a minute, by the way. So, there you go. All right, I think I'm going to leave that alone. But, Jeanie, listen, you was holding all the cards. You was holding all the cards, and you let LeBron run roughshod over the organization. So, that's a you problem. That ain't a LeBron problem. And now LeBron has to defend himself over this article. Again, the couple of paragraphs in the article. Mind you, last week he had to defend himself because his agent and buddy, Rich Paul, was talking Lakers stuff on his podcast. Which, oh, by the way, why does the agent have podcasts anyway? But I digress. So there you go. So, and then this will be the last thing. And then you leave room for guys like a Rob Parker to talk about LeBron should retire because of the All-Star game. He wasn't voted as a starter. Because now with this Jeanie Buss stuff, because now with the Rich Paul on his podcast talking as if he could be seen as a LeBron mouthpiece. All that all the combination of all that, he says he should retire off of that. I'm not in that camp, so I'll leave it be. All right, guys. So let's leave that subject right there. Let's continue. Inside the NBA, guys, it was back on this weekend, and you know it was good to have them back on to get their perspective and all those sort of things. But a few people talked about how inside the NBA, how now it's deliberately being killed by ESPN. How it's deliberately, given such little room for coverage and all kind of stuff. Now, this is someone who I happen to follow just to follow. Here's what she said about ESPN and NBC actually lying to NBA fans. So I want you to take a listen to what she said. This is Ashley Novell. Yes. Okay. 1 second.
He sold a lie with all of these Michael Jordan interviews and inside the NBA. All last season, it was MJ is finally talking. MJ is finally breaking his silence. MJ is going to give us real stories. And it's a surprise. Everything was pre-recorded. No follow-ups, no real back and forth, no smoke, just carefully edited clips that tell you nothing new. And don't get me wrong, MJ is still the GOAT, but fans wanted real insight, real opinions, real debate, not recycled sound bites from a vault. And honestly, the same thing happened inside the NBA. They hyped it up, moved it to ESPN, made it feel bigger than ever. We've seen it like 3 times in the last 5 months. This used to be a weekly show, and now it just pops up whenever. So they hype up MJ to make it seem like we're getting access to him when we really weren't. And then they took the best sports show inside the NBA and turned it into something we don't even see anymore.
Okay, so that's her saying that. And then here's Charles Barkley on the comments he made about them not being seen on TV. Listen to this.
Enjoy our time off. That's I want to work more. See, we heard you. Never thought you here. I want to work more. Don't work. Who gets a raise and asks for more work? I didn't get a raise. Let me just say this. I hate when people take things out of context. It's not out of context, Mike. All I said was, so we're working 3 days this week, which is fine. I just wish they would break it up more. We've been off for 2 months. There was no reason for us to be off for 2 months. Why not? You got fools on television. Christmas, man. First of all, Christmas. Why was there no reason for Christmas the worst holiday in the history of civilization? All you do is waste money. What does that have to do with us working Christmas Day for? Oh, we work Christmas Day. I know. So you said it's been 2 months since we were on. Yeah, but we only worked once in 2 months. And let me tell you something. 14 hours in 1 day. Look at this camera right here. Yes. Okay, there's some fools at home. They're at home now. We're saying that we were talking bad about the players, so they work less. Shut the hell up. Already scheduled. Nice catch. I really these guys are like, these guys, they put them on the shelf because they don't want them on TV. Y'all need to shut the hell up. This was already planned months and months ago. All I said was, I would like to work more. No, but we're going to be so heavy on the back end. We work 4 3 days next week. Saturday, Sunday. All of our players. The only point I made really means so. They all mean something. You watch the Sacramento New Orleans game?
All right, so that was their back and forth as far as that goes. Let me address the MJ stuff first. I think the MJ, special contributor for NBC, that was such a hoax, an absolute hoax. If you don't have that man sitting up there on the panel with Melo, with McGrady, with Vince Carter, and of course, the great and talented Maria Taylor, what is the point? What is the point? So yeah, I think the fans were sold a bill of goods because, and actually on the Odd Couple, Rob Parker alluded to this, that spliced up clips of MJ talking this and talking that, that's not going to get the fans going. And then, everybody went crazy when he talked about the load management, something that we all know, a lot of people are fed up with it. So there's that. But he brought nothing really new, nothing fresh. And he's done. He's done. I don't even know if they paid him for that interview. So I thought, yes, you were sold a bill of goods as far as that goes. Now, in terms of inside the NBA, I don't think it's deliberately being killed. I think that's a stretch. Are they working less? Absolutely, they're working less. And from the sounds of it, they'll be working more as, it gets closer to the playoffs, the finals, and all those sort of things. So, was there a lot of time between the Christmas and then now, as far as hearing from inside the NBA? Yes. I think they should at the very least, be on once a week. At the very least. So, so a lot of people feel that way, that, because they talk bad about the players, they talk bad about, matchups like they just did, Sacramento versus the New Orleans Pelicans. They're not interested in that. So I just think ESPN did a poor job in the scheduling. I'll just leave it at that. I think they did a poor job there. I think they could have did better as far as scheduling them. At least once a week, give them a spot. I mean, I understand you have your own countdown show. You have Malika Andrews there. You got Kendrick Perkins there. A host of others that you have. You bring on a Ramona Shelburne, who I think is fantastic. Shania Wu-McKay, and others. So I think you have to at least have inside the NBA on once a week. You have to do that. So will they? We'll see what happens. So apart from that, I have no qualms otherwise. NBC no good with the Michael Jordan stuff. Absolutely no good. ESPN, I think it's a work in progress. The more you have fans clamoring for inside the NBA, I think they'll be able to schedule it better in the future. I would hope. So we'll see what happens. All right, I think I'm going to leave it there, guys. There's still more to talk about. I want to talk about Derrick Rose jersey retirement out there in Chicago. It's something that Draymond said. Oh, my gosh. I'll play that for you next time. Also, top jersey sales. I want to get into that. Injuries, performances as well. I'll give you my players of the week from last week. I'll do that in my part 2. So, and some all-star news as well. And, of course, GD's top 5. So, I thank you for listening thus far, guys. All Things Basketball with GD.com's the website. There you find my clips. You'll find my full episodes. Also, support, guys. My donate buttons right on the main page. I just looked for myself. It's there. PayPal, buy me a coffee. Spotify, donate. Also in the scroll, you'll find my Cash App, $GD, that's Sports Dude. Again, $GD, that's Sports Dude. All the podcast platforms I'm on. YouTube channel, I'm there. Also, guys, as far as social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, some Blue Sky, and that's about it. Guys, I will bring you part 2. Hopefully, I'll have sunny weather behind me. It's starting to clear up, though, and I'm about to hit these streets, so you know what it is. All right, guys, I thank you for listening as always. Your listenership is so important to this show. Much appreciated, and we'll talk very soon. Take care.